Hi everybody, welcome to Season 2, Episode 12 of the Hard Truth Inside the Football Industry podcast with me, Philip Ideson, and Darragh MacAnthony, Chairman and Co-owner of Peterborough United. I think we're a little bit happier this week recording than we were last week. Talk us through your week, Darragh.
Yeah, I mean, people said I'd be, I don't know, if you listen back to all the podcasts, I mean, I don't think I've ever sounded like a panicker in any of those podcasts. I might have sounded like a broken record, about, this is going to take a process, this is going to take some time, but I don't think you would ever say I was, confidence in the bottom or whatever. I spoke last week about bad juju, unlucky things. Mm-hmm. And I spoke last week about good habits and doing things right. And I believe the manager, we spoke obviously during the international break. We did a big statistical analysis of the things we needed to do right. And we came out of the international break. We played Middlesbrough, and I spoke about that game and said, we didn't deserve to lose the game in a million years. We did everything right, bar take a fucking shot. The shape was great. The formation was good. Patterns of play were good, but it was getting the final bit right. But actually watching it back, you're like, that's not as bad as you think after the game. You lost 2-0. We didn't have a shot, but there's a lot of good things to see. And credit to the manager, we spoke afterwards about, look, we need a win, a reset. Win, reset. And you go to Hull, and obviously we haven't won away, and we've lost 6 in a row away, and it's, everyone's starting to come at us. Local press are writing articles about we're going down with a whimper and the season's over. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of negativity creeping in, and I'm sitting there, I'm having a drink with my wife, and just going like, fuck me, we're 11, 12 games into the season, and everyone's basically giving up hope. Bar me, bar the manager, and bar the players. I've been around football 15 years, and we played Hull, and it was one of them games where, both teams lacking confidence, both teams need a win. We score, and then they score like 1 minute later, and you're thinking, for fuck's sake,
Here we go again.
Here we go again. And then they get a penalty, and you're thinking, fuck me almighty, this is a game we should be winning. And then the football gods, appear, and the penalty goes over the bar, and we go down and win the game through Dembele. And again, that's why I was probably so upset about him getting subbed against Middlesbrough. As crap as he might be in a game sometimes, and players can be like that, you don't take him off the pitch because he's always,
There's that moment of magic.
Yeah, that moment of magic. And I think the gaff learned from that after the Middlesbrough game. And lo and behold, last 10, 12 minutes, he pops up with a winner, 15 minutes to go. So, and then dug in. And that was really important because for a couple of reasons. One, we get the away win. B, we get the win. C, it's somebody people are saying are going to be one of our rivals down there, although I still don't think, that's where I'm looking. And I still had no idea really about tables. So professing second half of the season, and you start looking at, where you are. And, more so to give our fans, the away fans who were brilliant and went there, just that little bit of, happiness. And we haven't had a lot of that. And to remind the players, actually, you're not a bad bunch of players overnight. You've had some horror results. You've had some brief moments in games where you've gone under. But overall, we've been in most games all season, bar Sheffield United, and showing, we got our act together, we can compete really well. So then I get on a plane the next day, and it's a great time to fly because you just won an away game. We got QPR, our 5th, coming in, get to the ground on Saturday. Really, really exciting because the atmosphere is great. QPR, God love them, they've sold 4,000 plus tickets. They're flying high. They're a really good team. Looked at their team on Thursday, Friday, and the analysis that was produced, and played some really good football. And it's like nearly 13,000 people. So it's a proper crowd, you know what I mean? And everyone's excited. The pitch is looking great. It's nice to be in a bit of cold weather instead of the hot weather in Florida. And really, really good game. Really good game. Two teams, if you looked at it, you probably think, they're very good teams in the championship going for each other. There was no stage in that game, if you watch it, you think, one team's trying to hold on for a draw. One team's trying not to lose. That was us and what's good about us and what we should be all the time. On the front foot, wanting to score goals, wanting to go the other way. Again, excellent shape, really, really good discipline. Everything was in front of us. And as good as QPR are, we limited them to very little. There was a few errors we made ourselves, including the goal they scored straight from a corner. But there was never any moments where they ripped us open and got in behind. The back line were very solid. Everyone was doing their jobs really well. And what was helpful, again, was they scored, and we scored within 5-10 minutes. And then we probably could have had another 3 goals. And then you get late in the game, and you always fancy us at home. We're a good home team. Throw Cardiff and West Brom out the window. We should have picked up all the points in those games. Again, Bristol City lost. We were very good against them. Horrible conditions. So we're a really good home team. And it breaks to Dembele last minute. The Norburn plays a beautiful ball through. And yeah, you fancy the wee man because he's a strong little fucker. And for the second 5 days, our main striker scores a match winner. And then
it's like
really
ice in his veins when as he took that.
Yeah, you know, that's who he is. You know, he can be world class. He can sometimes frustrate you, but you know, if he was to finish the article, he'd be playing for Barcelona.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he is a top championship player, and he can play in the Premier League, and he's still young. And again, I think it's his 3rd year or 4th year in football, so he's relatively young, you know. But he has all the attributes. The biggest credit I can give him is since not getting a move in August, he's been phenomenal. He's put his head down. He's worked hard. And, you know, now those rewards are coming. And bet your bottom dollar, every team we play will always identify him as one of the main danger men. But it wasn't just about him. There were so many good performances. You know, Harrison Burrows is 19, gets his 3rd goal of the season. You know, if he played for, you know, Bournemouth or West Brom, he'd be in an England under-21 team. Because he plays for Peterborough, he can't even get in the under-20s team. You know, but you're not going to find a better 19-year-old, you know, playing in the Championship, who plays as a 10 or plays as a wing back, who can score goals, make goals, and be as good as he is. So we're very excited about what we're producing from an academy perspective, because let's not lose fact of we won that game on Saturday on Tuesday, you know, with 2 teenagers from our academy in the team. That makes you very proud. But the crowd stayed with us. The crowd encouraged us. You know, QPR fans were at our fans at times about how quiet we are. And then all of a sudden we roar back into it. So, yeah, I'm really happy for back-to-back wins. Not getting overly excited. It's a start. You know, it's showing what we can do. Again, like I'm not panicking about when we lose a game of football. You know, this is one of the best leagues in the world. And I said before, and I keep saying, it takes time to adjust to this level. And, you know, we're doing this with, you know, some terrific players not available. You know, and those players are now all coming back. And there's no coincidence that, you know, in the 3 games the Beavers has returned in, we've picked out 6 points out of 9. You know, probably should have got 7 out of 9. Do you know what I mean? So again, his leadership and the importance he brings to the team, we were missing him for 8 league games. You know, Jack Taylor, I've always said to you, he's like the best central midfielder we've had for 2 decades. You know, he's only played, I think, 4 out of our 5 out of our 14 games he started in. He was ever present, you know, last season, bar 6 games when we lost the league title, when he was missing. So again, you have to look at those things and go, okay, when we're at our best and we have our strongest out there, we can be as good as we want to be in this league. So really, really happy with the 2 wins. And again, gives everyone a great weekend. And that's what it was. It was a great weekend.
You know, there's been a lot of talk about the front line and not having enough strikers on staff. Is Dembele's performance over the past week or so kind of some vindication that, you know, you have the talent, and you also you don't necessarily need to play with that target man that everyone kind of automatically thinks I need a target man in my side.
No. We looked in the summer to evolve into a pressing team where we would play basically, you know, if Jono had got sold in the summer, you know, we looked at, are we playing this way, are we playing that way? And I think what the suspension has allowed the gaffer to do is really focus on, right, we're going to play with 3 up top. Mm-hmm. You know, Dembele is your main striker, and you're going to have then, say, Grant, Smoddock's off him, or you might have Randall off him, and you might have Burrows off him, but you're always going to play that way. And it's possession-based football with pressing. So you're not going long all the time. If you go longer, you're going long with pace. You're not going long with physical presence. Mm-hmm. And this is where, like, you know, it drives me mad about, well, we don't strike. Strikers. We play with 1 striker. The 1 striker at the moment is Dembele. All right? And he's played basically now a few games up top on his own, and he's just scored 2 match winners back to back. And I dare say he'll get a lot more goals playing in that position. So when you have 1 striker, how do you get them all in? Because Jono's back this Saturday. He's not going to get back in, I would imagine. You know, he's going to have to work his way off the bench, and I believe he's getting himself in great condition. Ricky's back in 10 days' time. So, you know, we had Marriott. So you start doing the numbers. And it was always this way. We were never going to play with 2 up front. The way we wanted to play the formation, the style, was always 1, and then 2 around them. So how do you get 4 or 5 strikers into 1 position? You can't keep just signing. So I keep saying this about people who want to get angry about the lack of strikers. You can't stockpile strikers. You know, at the end of the day, when you're signing players in the Championship, it's a lot more money than League One. So you can't just have loads of spares hanging left, right and centre in the building. You can't go out and sign a £6,000 a week striker and stick him in the stands. He's not in the matchday squad, and then go get another one because another one's injured. It doesn't work like that. There has to be a blend. So at the start of the season, we were like, who are the main strikers here? Well, you got Dembele, Jono, Marriott, and Ricky's your apprentice because he's 18 and he's from the youth team, and he's going to provide great backup. They're your main strikers, and then you've got your wider players off of that, whether it's Schmoderks, whether it's Randall, whether it's Grant. So, what do you want me to do? Get a fifth and a sixth one, and you just stockpile, and you're giving the manager uncomfortable issues in the training ground with players who can't get a match day squad and are going to be angry. So, it's really, really difficult, and you've got to get it right. And I feel we've got it right, and hopefully the results will continue and vindicate that decision.
Now, is there a risk that, as Dembele is obviously showing what he can do, and what you've talked a lot about, what he, he's obviously in the shop window. January comes around, and he gets himself some offers, and you get some offers that are attractive with only 6 months left on his contract, that he moves on. Is too much of it built around Dembele right now, or what happens if that does occur?
No, the way the manager's playing, designing it now will suit some of the other players we now have in the building, or could bring in January instead of Dembele. So it's not the end all and be all. When we play one target man in a certain way, target men are really difficult to find out there. So to go out and have to replace a target man with another one is more tougher than having to go out and replace one striker focal point with a bit of pace and agility and ability. So we have some plan Bs and Cs on that. Dembele is not in the shop window. We're not actively looking to sell Dembele in January. We're a championship football club. If somebody wants to buy Dembele, they would have to stick £7-8 million in front of us, even with 6 months to go. The boy Josh King last year went for 10 million, and he had 6 months to go. Dembele is a match winner. He's young, and if someone wants to buy him, they pay a premium for us to make that decision. But it's not worth it financially to us to sell a player like that for anything less than that. Do you know what I mean? So people might think, oh, it's bargain city. No, it doesn't work like that with a club our size. Particularly with the owners and me. We're not under that pressure, so we're not in a hurry to sell Dembele. So, no, he's not in the shop window. We're not ringing anyone actively looking to sell him. We want him to continue and score goals. And if he goes at the end of the season, best wishes, and he signs for Real Madrid, great. If he decides to sign a lucrative contract with us, even better. If somebody comes and offers us $7+ million and add-ons on top of that in January, I'll replace him like that, and we'll go again. I'm not worried about it. Siriki staying or going won't decide what we do in the championship this year. We've gone past that as a team where we're a one-man team. It's that one player. We had that with Madison. Oh, Madison's not in the team. Peterborough aren't any good. We've got to get past that. What we're showing now is the squad game. Idris Khan, who hadn't played all season, came off the bench and was brilliant on Saturday. Players coming into the team and the squad and playing their part. Harrison going in instead of Butler at left wing back. Probably could have been the man of the match. Again, players, it's not all about one star man, and I like that in our squad.
Now, you were getting into it on social media on Saturday night, which I was kind of enjoying watching from afar. You could tell that you got the 3 points and were a little bit more confident in the way of the world. But there was some stick you've been getting about. I think one of the things that I read was the worst recruitment ever. And what do you make of some of those claims when you see them?
That's aimed at me because that's my remit and that's my department. And I've always said in the podcast, I'll hold my hands up when I get things wrong. I think our recruitment was amazing in the summer, and I think people aren't seeing it for what it is. And it drives me mad when you get fucking morons, basically, who've got no sense whatsoever of what it's like to run a football club, to work in the championship with what we have as resources to make a good fist of it. And they come out and make comments as ludicrous as that. And the reason it's ludicrous is because 3 of our summer recruits are in the last 2 wins. So, again, very successful. Randall, another summer recruit, is going to be one of the best signings I've ever made. He's been injured. The way we're playing at the moment, he was in that
tore up League Two. Like, speaking as a League Two supporter, we were delighted to see him leaving League Two.
He's 21. He's going to be an amazing player, particularly the way we're now playing. He's going to be money in the bank. Poku is 19, money in the bank. Mm-hmm. Josh Knight, who hasn't been at his best, granted. Everyone wanted him, and we thought he'd be a great addition to the defensive, team at the club. And we haven't seen our best to him. Again, a good recruit. A couple of the younger ones were for the under-23s. So I'm not sure if they want to ping, say, Joe Tomlinson at us. Again, you're judging somebody who's had a few minutes here and there. I always said, as to January onwards, it's going to take 6 months for some of these players to find their feet at the club. I don't see any signings in the summer as bad signings. And if you look at 3 of the signings that were in the team on Saturday, Cornell's come in and done brilliant. Norburn's been absolutely outstanding. And George Grant's been top class and plays a pivotal part in the front 3. So, again, you're going on about recruitment. And if you want to go back to, we didn't sign a striker, I've just gone through all the strikers we've got. And, you know, in the next 10 days, by November, the only striker missing from that bunch will be Jack Marriott. And he'll be back at the end of January. So, again, how is it the worst recruitment you've ever seen? And you're forgetting that we spent a considerable amount of money. We did good in and outs. And at the same time, I think we gave out 8 new contracts to the players who are now showing that they can play in the league. So, again, talk to me through how it's the worst recruitment you've ever seen. And it's the usual suspects. There's a couple of names you could throw up that we could go and beat whoever. Bournemouth 5-0 away. And these couple of wankers that still pop up with their shitty comments. And that's just the way it is. You're always going to... Look, there are people who won't have me no matter what at Peterborough. It's a small minority. You know the usual names. They wait and they wait and they wait, usually when it's not going well, and that's when they're at the strongest. Now, that one person I was having a thing with on Saturday, he's not really like one of them, but there's a few others who are. They just absolutely love it. The minute things aren't well, out they come. Guess what? When we won promotion during COVID, with all the issues we had, I never really saw much of them. I didn't hear from them. There wasn't any words. So that's where respect goes out the window. I front up when we're doing shit, and I front up when we're doing well. People go, oh, here he is on social media. No, bollocks, go through my things. You'll see me front up after every loss. I said I'd do every 3 games because I was travelling and because of what's going on. I thought, well, I'll do the next couple of games. We've got an international break, so doing 3 in a row sometimes doesn't work. It's not me showing up when we win. I know what people think. There are some owners out there and people who just pop up whenever we win, you know, clubs win. That's not me. You watch my streams on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I'm there. I don't hide. I'm on this podcast every week. Again, I don't hide. You don't have me ringing you going, you know what, Phil, we've just lost. I don't fancy doing a podcast on Monday. I've never done that. Because the one thing you can't say about me, I'm not a fucking coward. You know, at the end of the day, I've been in football a long time. And what I will say is, credit to my manager and the players and all the staff. Like I keep saying, we've had them 20 months. They're a good bunch. They've had a lot of shit thrown at them. There's been a lot of shit in the local press, which has been very unfucking fair. Because like I said to you, you go back 4 months and it's like you're lauded. Within 4 months, you've been written off. And it's absolutely short-sighted. It's really, really silly. And you'd be a fool to write this team off like that. And they've done it a couple of times. And I go back to last season when we lost 3 of the first 5 games. It was the same people saying the same thing. You know, and I keep saying, trust the fucking process. You know, when you've been around 15 years, when you've done this, trust the people who are doing it. Because if you lose your trust, you lose your nerve. And I hate to see any of these fucking idiots play poker because they'd be fucking terrible poker players. They would shit their fucking pants at the first sign of pressure. And that's the difference. My manager can take pressure. I take pressure. Some of these people who write this stuff can't take pressure. You know, and that is the difference between in life of being a winner and a loser. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not looking for pats on the back because we won 2 fucking league games. You know, it's been okay. And it'll get a lot better. I keep saying, watch us go February onwards. Because I have a real strong inner belief, you know, because of the lack of panic inside, because of the consistency and the coaching and the people we have, I just feel we're going to be really, really good. And I've been saying it since podcast week 1. I think we're going to have a really, really good season. Ignore what the start was like. I think we're going to do well. And going toe-to-toe, and mark my words, QPR be a top 8 club. You know, going toe-to-toe with a club like that and probably could have scored 4 or 5 more goals. You know, that inside, I'm just like, you know, that's us.
In that atmosphere of 4,000 or 5,000 away fans as well.
Absolutely. That's us. Winning a game against Hull, which everyone was saying was a 6-pointer, which is ridiculous this early in the season. Again, that's my boys. And you know, people are just far too quick. We kept going back and saying, you know, look at Luton 2 years ago. Look at Coventry last year. You know, these teams have grown in. Look at where they are now. Look at Coventry year 2. Look at Luton year 3. Look at where those clubs are. I think they're like 4th and 5th in the champ. And fucking massive respect to them. I love seeing them do well. Because again, it gives us that pilot, that roadmap of find your feet, improve. They're really well-run football clubs, Coventry and Luton. I like to think we're a really well-run football club. And I think most fans should say nowadays, we want really well-run football clubs to do well, right? We want them to do well.
I mean, it shows that you don't have to, that the gap isn't such that getting promotion is not almost automatic relegation. And that's what it seems like Coventry and Luton are showing.
No, if you've a really good setup, if you've a really good plan, if you've got good people behind the scenes, I'd like to say that about not me, the staff, my partners, our manager. There's some terrific people behind the scenes. And I've always said, we're building a really good team off the pitch and on the pitch. And I think when you're a football club doing the right things, you'd like to think you get the right results by doing the right things. And I've had the shit kicked out of me and things go against us trying to do the right things. So I just think on the wheel, it's your turn to get that bit of good luck and things to go your way. If you keep doing the right things, the right results will happen. Do you know what I mean? And it's like you keep making stupid mistakes, bad things will happen. So, all I say is win, lose, or draw. It's amazing. It's a great league to be in. It's really enjoyable. You don't see me under the desk getting too down about it. You know what I mean? And just going, okay, this is the process. This is what we're doing. This is what we got to go through. No, fuck, we got no strikers available. Oh, fuck, our best players aren't available. But hang on, give me this 4 months ago, that day against Lincoln when we were 3-0 down, and I'm a bit every fucking finger off your hand for it, as were all our fans. So that's what I keep always reverting back to. I've wanted to be in this league for 8 years. I'm now in this league, and I'm not going to fucking squander it and regret it and sit here depressed about football losses, because you're going to lose games in this league. That's the way it goes.
Well, going over the...
Let's talk Bradford. Yeah. Come on.
So we had an interesting week. We lost to Hartlepool at home, which was, feels like as low as it can get, although I know that, things can always get worse. And then we turned that around with winning away at Swindon on Saturday, where we played them off the park. I mean, I said it in a tweet. It's such a roller coaster as football, isn't it? Sometimes you go in a game, you think you should walk away and win easily, and you get it kicked to you, and we got exactly what we deserved. And then Swindon on a great run. I think they lost maybe 1 in 11, unbeaten at home since August. Really the form team, and we go and play like Real Madrid against them.
Wow!
So it was
wow.
Change of formation. I mean, we got some, maybe a couple of the injuries starting to come back. So Niall Canavan, centre half, who came back in. We went from what was it? The 3 up front, basically the formation you play. We went to 5-3-2, and that made a big difference having 2 up front. Bringing somebody in now. The striker's not on his own. The knock-ons are going to somebody. Bit of a partnership forming. The striker was a lad called Caelan Lavery, who honestly is, was bought as a reserve, and he's just come back from injury, but he did really, really well. And it just made a big difference. Maybe we just surprised them. Maybe they weren't expecting the formation change. But, it was one of those games where they had 76% possession. And yet we had, I don't know the number, 10, 15 shots to there, maybe 4 or 5. It was just one of those where, you felt in control, and it was just a nice surprise. So let's see if we carry that forward. But it made a nice, nice change after the Tuesday.
You should play. Is that it now for you? Is that the fact I'm always uneasy about managers chopping and changing the formation. So is because you recruit players for formation. So when a manager starts going away from it, you go, you got me to recruit for these 2 formations, and now you're going to another one. And that's been something I've learned the last couple of years. Stick to that process and your shape,
Yeah, I think, time will tell. But, sometimes seasons turn on things like that, where you're forced into it, where you've got injuries and you've got to play somebody up front that you didn't imagine was going to play up front, or someone just gets this chance and takes it and suddenly it sticks.
Do you have the personnel for that formation all the time? Do you have good personnel for it? Yeah,
you do. We got 3 good centre halves. I think we tried it in pre-season, it didn't work, and so it was abandoned pretty quickly. I think we were forced into it because we had to change something. And we had players coming back from injury that allowed us to do it. So, it worked, and we'll see if it continues. But I imagine we will stick with that, or at least have that as kind of the away formation. Whether we go back at home, I'm not sure.
Were the natives getting restless?
Oh yeah, I mean, there was a lot of booing on Tuesday after we lost to Hartlepool. We're an impatient bunch after a few years back in League Two again, and seeing the club kind of implode over the last few years with, some of the challenges with the ownership and things. And because, we've been, and I say we, meaning the fan base, have been told that nothing other than going for promotion is acceptable. So,
absolutely.
When you set those standards and you fail to deliver, then, people are unhappy about it.
Aren't they just? Fickle bunch.
Yes.
Fickle bunch.
But nice to get 3 points on the board.
Hey, I'll take another 25 posh Bradford win doubles.
Yes, I know, right? Bring it on.
Absolutely, bring it on, baby. That's what we want. To be fair, straight away I was like, checking the Bradford Twitter stream, to see what the result was after the game. So I was like pleasantly surprised, because obviously I follow Swindon, and one of my ex-players is doing well, Louis Reed there, and so that was a hell of a turn up for the Bucks. Swindon have got together.
It's funny, there I am on like old teletext days, following your last 5 minutes on Twitter as well. Keep on refreshing and hoping. I find myself, following your games as much as I am my games almost at this point.
Yeah. To be fair, it's quite a few fans have popped up on the Hard Truth Twitter feed who were like, not Bradford or posh fans, but suddenly are looking for our results, because of the podcast. So which is quite nice, refreshing, It's good. So what else has gone on in the football world? Anything else interesting? Weekend?
I think there was maybe a few goals in the Premier League this weekend, wasn't there?
Welcome.
Where do you even begin to start? I watched that game and it was an incredible performance, but yet the story is Man United, not Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean, I had a sense. I mean, obviously, I was worried that when I saw the Liverpool team sheet and Fabinho wasn't in there. I actually agreed Mane getting dropped, because I think he's been fucking rubbish for 18 months. So even though he scored a few goals this season, he gives the ball away too much. Do you know what I mean? And misses some serious chances. And I quite liked him bringing in Konate from Matip, because we've like leaked goals for fun in a few of the games. I like the decisions, and when Klopp is brave like that, you kind of like trust him. I never for a moment, worried about Fabinho being injured, because you think of the United midfield. But when I saw Ole, before the game, speaking on Sky, saying they were going to go at us, early on and whatever, I kind of thought, oof, be careful what you wish for, because this Liverpool team on the counter are fucking sensational this season. And just like Leicester against United, I'm not sure United with Ronaldo up there have the personnel to play like that. Like, this comes down to recruitment and personnel and everything else. Do you know what I mean? And formations fit in. And if you listen to Sky Sports talking about, well, pressing, not pressing, it's really important you have the right personnel on your team. If you've got somebody who's 30% slower than everyone else, it's very difficult to press as a team. The focal point to how you press. And we've spoken about that with Clark Harris, Dembele, and certain players and whatever else. You deal with the hand you dealt, and that means you have to play a certain formation. If United had gone the other way, and it's difficult for them to do it at home, and played us, and gave us the ball, I'm not sure you'd have the same result. So, because Liverpool obviously have conceded a lot of goals on the counter themselves. You know what I mean? They've looked very vulnerable. So they've conceded 2-0 up against Atletico, back to 2-2, won the game. I think it was Milan, the same thing. Brentford scored 3 goals against us. Again, there are a few deficiencies there. And early on, Fernandez could have put them 1 up, and you're thinking, oof, thank God for that. But what have we said about Ole? Lovely guy, great guy. You're not winning a league title with him as your manager. I've been saying that since day one. It's not happening.
I mean, it feels like a broken record at this point, but here we are recording on Monday and he's still in a job, and that alone, tells you everything you need to know.
Jamie Carragher said something on Sky that was absolutely true. I think the ownership at United are fucking terrified. They've been scarred with Van Gaal and Mourinho. They've been scarred of getting some big-name world-class managers in who won't toe the line. And what they've got is a manager who will toe the line. He won't come out and demand the board by players. He won't come out and question the board. He won't come out and throw shade that way. He's a brilliant club man. I love seeing after the game, you saw pictures of him doing autographs and videos with the fans. And they were very, very reciprocal to him. They weren't abusing him. And that's right, because he's a class guy. The problem is he's just not, you sound like a broken record, he's not elite. He's not, give Klopp that team, give Guardiola that team, give me with that current squad. They'd be a different team. Tuchel, any of those people we've just named, give them, Conte's a world-class manager. The problem with Conte is he's a certain way he plays, and I'm not sure United have. He plays with, out-and-out wing-backs. He's a certain way of playing. I'm not sure he's suited for United at the moment. They keep giving Ole hundreds of millions to spend. My God, the players on the bench, I went through it, like Pobka, Sancho, Van der Beek. I think I counted 280 million sat on the bench. And you're watching going, my God. You can go after the Glazers all you want. You can keep going after the ownership at United. And I know some of the fans today were going on about it. But with all due respect, they've gone out and signed Varane in the summer. You know, Sancho in the
There's
summer.
money to spend, or money being spent, should I say.
I mean, as a Liverpool fan, I look on just envious and jealous sometimes at the talent that comes. I mean, what Liverpool could do when our players go to the African nations in January, having Sancho lying around in the building to be one of our front three and popping in. You know what I mean? So I'm very, very envious, you know, of some of the players United have been able to go and sign. So I don't know. You know, for me, they will stick with him. I have a feeling City are going to smash the shit out of them. Going to come in. I don't think it's going to get better very quickly.
Is there a final straw? I mean, is getting smashed by City a final straw?
I think the final straw for this ownership group will be when they're 10 points outside the Champions League spots. Because I don't think they can afford another 2 years outside the Champions League like they had a few years ago. And I think that would set alarm bells ringing for the Glazers, because the ownership, they like a dividend. They like the few quid that comes back. I don't think they can do that whenever there's no Champions League football. So I don't see him lasting the season unless they stay thereabouts in the top four. But that looks like a team, devoid of elite leadership.
They were just all over the place, weren't they? Like, players were looking at each other like, what do I do?
Blame game. You don't like to see it. You know when things are going wrong. They weren't looking at each other, Phil. They were giving each other daggers. When players like Fernandes was one of the worst. When players start giving daggers out to each other, you know you've got problems. I don't mind a healthy scrap. Players can have a scrap and fucking dig each other out. But there was like sly daggers. And when you slide daggers are people who are a bit two-faced. And you got the Pogba Sagba rolling on, another now red card. And is he going to sign a new contract? You go, oh, well, Ronaldo's back and he's got to play. And Sancho, you know, they spent 2 years chasing him and the guy's never fucking hardly played. You've got all those issues going on. And then you got a nice guy manager behind the scenes trying to keep all that together, who's not ruthless, who's not elite. He's just a lovely guy. And sometimes you need a bastard to sort out a fucking mess.
He's just being led by his squad at this point, or his senior players.
Absolutely. So, you know, it's not good. It's not good. I mean, ask yourself the question. I'm not Simeone's biggest fan. What would Simeone be like at Man United? Now, he's not your United-type manager, because his teams are defence, clean sheets, you know, men behind the ball, you know, but obviously he's a certain aggressive way he plays.
You need someone to go and shake him up, don't you? You need someone to go and, you know.
We're talking about Zidane, you know, Zidane won Champions Leagues and he won a couple of league titles at Real Madrid. I'm not sure about him.
It feels like he was handed it on a. I mean,
yes,
it feels like handed on a plate. Maybe that's being harsh on what it takes to even, as we're seeing with what Ole's done at Man United. But
yes. And I think he was handed a Champions League winning team. I think he was handed a league winning team. I think he had Ronaldo still at the peak of his powers, you know, for a couple of years early on, the first time round, and then the second time round, obviously he came back. But yeah, I don't know. You know why? Do you know who I would give that job to? Do you know who would fix that football club? Do you know who would have them playing football that the United fans would wank in their pants? Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers, within 18 months, would have United as a title threat. If he could do that with the Liverpool team 8 years ago, do you know what I mean, that he had back then? If he could do it with them, where we should have won the league, trust me, and seeing what he's doing with Leicester and the way they play, Brendan Rodgers, I think, as a player's coach, as somebody who can be hardcore and who looks like he's got a bit about him, you know, to sort out shit in the dressing room. He doesn't look like a deer in the headlights, like Ole can look sometimes. I think Rodgers is, you know, forget about the fact he's Liverpool manager. I don't think that should discount you from a job. I think he's primed for another top four job. I think the job he's done at Leicester, he's won the FA Cup, they won the Charity Shield. They obviously ran close for the top four 2 seasons in a row. They're producing talent that they're selling for big money and then, you know, reproducing. So I just think everything about that man, after Celtic and now coming into Leicester, he's primed for a run again. Big club.
Do you think do you think a big club will ever take a non-big club manager? So what I mean is, you know, aside from a club legend, you know, appointing a club legend like Man United did with Ole, it seems like it's this merry-go-round of, we're talking like same people being talked about for the Newcastle job now. It's these, I don't want to say failures, but, you know, they manage all the top clubs and they go and they spend a couple of years and they move around. Is that, you know, who's going to break that mold?
No top manager's taking the Newcastle job until they're safe.
Yeah.
Like the guy they're looking to bring in, he's not in a job at the moment. I forget what his name is. And, you know, I don't think any of the top managers in jobs would go and take that job. Now, if it was next summer and they were in the Premier League, I think every manager in the world would be
it's
happy.
like a two-step process, isn't it?
100%. And Rangers fans beware, because if Newcastle somehow managed to get a manager just to keep them there at the end of the season, and they went after Steven Gerrard, like for me, I think I'm so impressed with what Stevie's done at Rangers. Early on I was concerned, and I thought, well, he's got a job there, a bit like Lampard, really, without doing much. And I've been so impressed with his staff he put together, with the longevity, with building a squad that year one, not great, year two, what they were doing in Scotland and going unbeaten. And I just think Gerrard's got that bit about him. And if Jurgen stepped down tomorrow, of course, Steve would be in the Liverpool job. Do you know what I mean? But I think Jurgen Klopp's got another 5, 6, 7 years in him at Liverpool. So I'm not concerned about Jurgen leaving. So for me, and this will sound controversial, United, Newcastle, if they wanted a manager, it would be Gerrard or Rodgers. Steven Gerrard, would he turn down Man United, one of the biggest clubs in the world? I don't think you could, even as a Liverpool legend. I don't think you could. I don't think you could turn that job down.
How would Liverpool fans see him if he took that job?
Well, a lot of them wouldn't be happy. But I'm sorry. Jurgen Klopp's not gone anywhere anytime soon. And, that's, no matter what you say about Man United, it's
still Man United.
It's clubs in the world.
Yeah.
Who the fuck wouldn't want that job? So, that's what I'm saying. Brendan Rodgers. If you can't get Gerrard, that's a no-go. Brendan Rodgers all day long. You go in and offer Leicester 100 million. You're giving them 100 million for a centre-back that was in a 5-0 thrashing on Saturday. Go and offer them 100 million for their manager, because Harry Maguire played his best football under him. I'll tell you right now, if they went and signed a couple of the central defensive midfielders that Leicester have, United are a proper team. Because that's what they're missing. When you got a team with Fred and McTominay in it, you're not winning league titles. But you look at all the other parts they've got, and you go click, 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 click. They're just missing a Fabinho. They're missing that world-class top, Kante, that player. Do you know what I mean? Who plays in front of the four and who basically just does all the dirty work in the hard yards. So, you go get Rodgers and you get Maguire playing again, you suddenly be able to go and recruit one of his best players at Leicester. You get Tielemans, you got the other fella, you got two of them in there that are like top class, midfielders. So for me, that's the play for United, because you have to put your hands up and go, Ole is not winning anything anytime soon. Forget about a League Cup. I'm talking about winning the Champions League, winning the Premier League title. It's just not going to happen. And you worry for United this season. And as an ownership group, sometimes you've got to look at it and go, he's been brilliant for us and he settled things down after Mourinho, but now we need to go and get a Rodgers.
Meanwhile, in the Premier League, we have Ranieri securing his job for another week. That was a pretty incredible 5-2. I don't think anyone saw that one coming. Goodison.
Watford have got some really good players. And for whatever reason, Everton looked like Keystone Cops the way they defended. It was weird. Mm-hmm. It was very on Benitez-like. And obviously I could hear it. Their fans are going to turn very quickly on Rafa because of the whole Liverpool thing.
Yeah.
And if they keep playing like that, fuck me, he's got problems.
Give it a couple of weeks and they'll be back at Newcastle.
Oh, let me tell you, if Liverpool rolled into town and did what they did to United to Everton, Rafa Benitez would be fucking gone. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, they had a good start, and now obviously they've got injuries, and they've lost Calvin-Lewin. So there's all those things to consider. Watford, when you look at it, they've got some really good players. I actually don't think Watford are going to struggle. I actually think Ranieri will actually do all right there, but he will be fucking gone next summer, because that's what they do. They freshen things up. He'll get them up to like 14th, and then they'll lose 4 games in a row at the end of the season, and they'll comfortably stay up and they'll fucking tin-tack them. That's their way of running the club. So listen, whatever works for them.
And unfortunately for Norwich fans, are hammering at the hands of Chelsea. I mean, it's hard to take you can take one result out of context when you come up against a top 3, top 4 club, because just the gulf in class of difference. But I mean, do Norwich have any chance of staying up already? Here we are in October.
I think the problem you have is that a club like Norwich, you get to January, and it's like, do you stick or shift? In other words, are you close enough where you go, right, we're going to go and sign a couple of players because we've got a chance here staying up? Or if you're fucking dead and buried, and the lights have gone off, then there's no point. Then you're planning for the championship. And because I like clubs that are run well, I want Norwich to do well. I hate fucking seeing them having a shit start. And obviously, fair play to their owners and their fans. I think they've lost 17 of the last 18 games, going back to the last time they were in the Premier League, But it's always the same mistakes, I guess. It's defensively looking weak as piss, and when you're giving in 7 goals, I don't give a fuck if you're playing Chelsea. You're playing Chelsea, you're missing 2 of their best strikers as well. So am I ready to write them off? No, because they're a peculiar club in the way where they had all those defeats 15 months ago. They went into the championship and started winning again. So the defeats didn't get to them too much. They've come in now, they've had a horrific start. I think Norwich are a team, if they get a win here or a win there, they might get 4 or 5 wins in a row. Not quite ready to press the button on them. Burnley, on the other hand, I think are in trouble.
Burnley, you say?
Mm.
Yeah. Third bottom, 4 points. Drew 2-2 at Southampton at the weekend, but after we've talked on the pod about that takeover, and it's kind of built on a bit of a foundation of sand.
I mean, Dyche has performed miracles, and I think his biggest problem has been now that the squad that have done the miracles are aging and aging and aging. Only so long you can get away with aging players without going out and replenishing them, and that's not through any fault of his own. That's, is he being backed? And they obviously brought in the fella Cornet, who's got a few goals. Looks like a very good, shrewd purchase. But I'd say if you asked a Burnley fan, they probably needed 4 or 5 good signings in the summer to refresh that squad. Dyche is magnificent. He would keep the job he's done there is amazing, but there's only so long you can keep trying the same old trick. But look, knowing him, if they give him back in January, and these new owners are probably going to have to, they're that club. If they're in trouble, you would back him over everyone else because of his experience and his ability. But you worry about them at the moment. I worry about Newcastle.
Yeah, I mean, they're only 4 points, and they can't really change much until January. So the question may be, how far behind are they at that point?
Yeah. You'd like to think the players there now think, well, fuck this. All these replacements coming in, I've got to show you I belong. You'd like to think there's a bit of that. But then you go the other way and think, well, actually, these players are probably thinking, well, fuck them, we're getting replaced anyway, fuck it. And they'll have to just pay us off. Mm-hmm. So it could go one way or the other. They had a decent result against Palace, but I thought Palace should have won that game. Benteke had a goal ruled off VAR. Palace are playing good football. They're not getting the results that their football deserves at the moment. But Newcastle, it concerns me because obviously recent form and over the last decade, they've gone down a couple of times.
I've got a lot of sympathy for Steve Bruce. I think he's been hung out to dry a little bit there, and because he can only work with the resources he's had access to, and he's been somebody who is.
I like Steve. I know him personally. I don't think he's performed to his level. I understand all of that. You're absolutely right. I think he did just as good a job as Benitez, and he never got a fair rub of the green. The press turned against him locally. I think he was seen as Ashley's man. Mm-hmm. But I'd say if Steve was really honest with himself, he's been shocking this season. And I've always been fair to him. He's been brilliant the last 2 seasons, but, he hasn't been good this season. And, they haven't, I forget the results over 9 or 10 games, but fucking shocking. Yeah. So that you can blame everything. You can blame, signings, players, blah, 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 blah. But Brentford have come up and done all right, haven't they? Are you telling me Brentford squad's better than Newcastle squad?
Yeah, I mean, they haven't won yet of Newcastle.
Right, okay. So are you telling me, who else down there? Are you telling me Watford squad's better than Newcastle squad? So no, that's down to poor management. So he was treated, the stuff that was said about him when I heard his interview was horrendous. And as my manager says, and I think Klopp said it, don't read social media, stay away from the media, horrendous. Steve will be back. He's a top manager. I'm glad he's got a nice £8 million payoff. He deserved that for what happened at the end. But make no bones about it, he was partly responsible for that because whether he was popular or not popular, Ashley's man, not Ashley's man, the results were fucking disgraceful this season.
Now, where will he be back? Is he going to be back at a struggling championship side looking, is he going to be walking into a difficult situation? Is he going to be, where's his stock, do you think?
It depends how much more he wants to do. He's a very wealthy man. Mm-hmm. He's 60 now. It depends, has this taken a toll on him? So it could be a case of where he says, fuck it, I don't need it, so I'll do press media. He's got a nice gaff in Portugal. He's got a lovely wife. Does he need it? Does he really need another tilt or another job? It would have to be an interesting job. So I don't know. I don't think he'd be back this season. Mm-hmm. And obviously, another pal of mine, Mick McCarthy, he got the tin tack on Saturday. Yeah. Gutted about that because obviously I like Mick a lot. But obviously it's gone very badly there at Cardiff. And they gave him the bullet. I think you lost 8 in a row, didn't you?
Yeah, you had Cardiff, I think, as one of your pre-season picks. I don't know what's happened there over the last couple of months.
Yep, it's gone rotten. It's gone bad. So he's out. I don't know who's going to be in. Charlton got rid of Nigel Atkins, another guy I have a lot of time for, but they've had a fucking disastrous start to the season. But when you analyse a lot of that, I would definitely say that other people have to take responsibility there because a lot of their signings came late in the summer. You know, you talk about getting your business done early. You know, a lot of their business was done late and probably left Nigel behind the 8 ball. You know what I mean? What he needed to do. But he has to take responsibility. There's no way Cardiff, a club that's or Charlton, a club that size, should be fucking 22nd in League One or wherever they were. That's disgraceful. But at the same time, if you're new into club ownership and you've gone in and you got director of football, one of the key things for me coming through the leagues in League Two and League One was get your business done June, early July, so that by pre-season camp, the whole squad's together, they can gel and they can get going. Do you know what I mean? Because you don't, 20 games or 14 games in to be 20 seconds. No, that's not right.
We look down the rest of the championship. I have to call out to Blackpool beating Preston. One, it's a huge game. I used to live 2 minutes away from Deepdale back in the day, and I know how much that'll sting for Preston fans. But Blackpool doing a great job. I mean, 11th in the table right now, having come up.
Their manager, I've said this before, he will not be there long. And I mean that with respect.
Yeah.
Their manager is obviously ex-Liverpool youth coach, England youth coach. Their manager is excellent.
He's
my manager
for bigger things.
I think his age, his profile, what he's done at Blackpool, what he's now doing at Blackpool, with a budget. I think bigger clubs and like us, Blackpool or whatever else, when a bigger club comes calling, it's very difficult for a manager to say no.
Mm-hmm.
I do think their manager, like, let's say, for example, Sheffield United tomorrow, decided, well, it hasn't gone to plan. We need another new manager. Are you turning that job down? Let's say, I don't know, throw a club out there. Let's say a Southampton decide to get, Ralph and turn around and say, look at what Christie's doing at Blackpool. Do you turn that job down? So again, I think amazing job. And I don't upset Blackpool fans there, by the way, because they think, oh my God, he's trying to, get our manager out. People within our industry will know how highly rated he is, because he's not just a manager, he's a brilliant coach. And that's why Blackpool are doing really well. When we did our coupon in the summer between us all the staff about who's going to finish wearing the champ, I had Blackpool finishing very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
Very well.
And we got Bournemouth just running away with things at the moment. Played 14, won 10, drawn 4, 5 points clear.
Fair play. They'll be promoted by March.
Yeah.
They will.
And only one dark spot on their form, and that happened to be a draw.
Listen, when you come up against the mighty Posh, we love a clean sheet. Only joking. Yeah, listen. I mean, look, like I said to you, we're no mugs at home. And that's the frustrating thing. If we solve the away thing, we could be a hell of a team in the champ. Because if you look at all our home games this season, we're fucking really good at home.
Yeah.
And long may that continue. And we have been for 2.5 years. So, yeah. Anyway, moving on from the champ. Where to?
Yeah, next? League One. Shout out to Plymouth, top of the table on 30 points right now.
No surprise.
Yeah.
No surprise. Ryan Lowe is, I spoke to Lowe on transfer deadline day. He rang me about, an opinion on another player, not one of ours, just to talk to the breeze about players. And he is another brilliant coach.
Yeah.
And they had a really good start last year in League One, and they fell away, lost interest. They were never going down,
Everyone
never going up.
For his head, which I never understood.
I don't believe that. I think the Plymouth fans love Ryan Lowe. I'm maybe a few dissenters, but he's a terrific guy. He's, again, a young manager. Very proud of him, doing an incredible job. Obviously I've had my scouts at their games. We've got Broomy there. I've been looking at some of their players, of course, as you do. Really, really happy for him. And long may it continue, because they've come out of nowhere. And obviously Ryan Broom's doing brilliant. So he's going to have to, his owner's going to have to write a big check in January.
His value is going up by the week.
Listen, I at the end of the day, I'm a fair guy. We did him a good deal before on George Cooper, and we said to him about Broomy, and if his owner wants to back him, he's going to have to buy him in January, because there are other clubs that want to buy
someone else will.
Yeah, no, they will. And my manager, I want to take him back to our squad in the championship. So, but listen, I don't want to mess with what they're doing there promotion-wise. They're doing brilliant. So long may it continue, And an agent friend of mine's got a couple of players there, and he just says that they all love the gaffer.
Yeah.
So, good dressing room, good setup, good bunch of lads.
Makes a difference.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. Fucking brilliant. And I think the big surprise in League One was Sunderland got beaten, didn't they?
I know, Charlton. Right? Charlton. So we talked about Charlton before and the awful start that they've had, and then they roll up to Stadium of Light and grab a 1-0.
Be interesting now. Hopefully that's not, the start of a couple of defeats, because I'd always be interested to see if Sunderland lose a few games like we did last year, and we had good patches and we had a couple of bad patches. how quick does it turn there? Now they've got all the fans. If they lose 3-4 games in a row, what's the pressure like? Because it's one thing, the pressure of 7,000 Peterborough fans turning on the team, getting unhappy for a couple of losses. There's another thing when you got 35,000 Macams on top of you. So that'd be really interesting to see how they handle that. League One's fascinating because Ipswich are coming back into it. And you've obviously got Wickham flying high.
Yeah.
You got Plymouth flying high. You got Wednesday haven't hit their stride. You got Wigan fucking doing unbelievable. You got Portsmouth struggling. I mean, it's Bolton are now struggling. It's a fascinating league.
It's interesting. Some of those high flyers from the first 6 or 7, 8 games now are now struggling. Morecambe's an example. I mean, Morecambe set off like a train in that division, and now they're 2 points off relegation zone.
Yep, teams like that. Wimbledon, Morecambe, sometimes teams like that, they have good fast starts. What I always keep saying, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Look out for the real wise dogs come February, March onwards. Anyone from 14th upwards can win promotion in that league.
What do you make of Portsmouth this season?
It'd be unfair to judge because I haven't seen enough of them. Wasn't a big fan of the lack of recruitment made. I rate their manager. We played them pre-season. We weren't good. They beat us comfortably. But they very much look like the same kind of team from last year and the year before. Sometimes, that can go really well, where by year 2 or 3 you're ready to lift off. Or sometimes it can go stale. I might be wrong because I haven't seen enough of them, so it'd be unfair. But I would always expect the club the size of Portsmouth to be challenged in top 6. And they've done that, obviously, with playoffs the last few years, been in and around it and lost. The ownership there probably now getting to the point where in January, they're probably going to have to buy some players if they want to have a go. Don't write them off because they're a big club. If they go on a run, and Danny Crowley's won promotions, he's won the league in League 2, he's won the league in non-league, done very well, obviously, with Lincoln in League 1 before he left. Don't write them off just yet. They've had some topsy-turvy results. They've won games by 4 goals. They've lost games by 4 goals. They need some recruitment, in my opinion.
It's unusual to see them. I mean, it's funny. You look at the results every week, you think they're struggling. You look at the table, it's still nothing a couple of wins wouldn't fix.
That's it. And that's why I say don't write them off.
Yeah.
And I don't want local journalists in Portsmouth listening to this and picking bits of it. I'm not having to go with ownership. I'm not having to go with the manager. They're a massive club who will rise again. And right now, they probably need 2 or 3 very, very good signings in January.
Mm-hmm. And then into League 2. So we got Forest Green still, top of the table, 5 points clear. Let's see how they did. They beat Salford at the weekend. We play them next weekend. So that'll be an interesting one. We've never had much success against Forest Green since we've been back.
Where is
it? It is at home, I believe. It's Valley Parade. But that's not stopped them in the past.
I fancy you to win that 4-2.
Well, we'll see if our newfound scoring boots will help us out. And the past games have been when we've had the Mark Cooper show to deal with as well. And if you want to come to Valley Parade and really take the life out of the place, I mean, your mate Steve Evans was an expert at it as well. Evidenced by a huge brawl at the end of one of the games. That seems to be a successful way of coming to Valley Parade.
No, absolutely. Who else is up there now? Who's in the top 7?
Yeah, we got Port Vale second place. Your friends at Northampton in third. Exeter fourth. Then we've got Harrogate, Swindon, and Hartlepool making up the rest of the playoffs. So Hartlepool have had a good start.
I fancy Exeter to win the league this year. I'm changing my bet from Bradford. Bradford will be top 3.
Okay.
But I now think Exeter. I've had my scouts at a lot of their games. And I think Exeter, what they have there, manager, dressing room, style of play, consistency, I think, outside little bet, I think they'll win the league. Interesting.
They still got a bunch of, their model is up and coming kids, isn't it?
Incredible. Honest to God, our academy's gone Cat 2 now. The Dom's about to be finished in November, December. We finally get our accreditation. And you look at an Exeter and go, we want to produce like they do. And we're on the verge. We're on the verge. We've got unbelievable now dearth of talent coming through. So Exeter are a credit, to the way they run their club, to their manager, everything. They don't stand in the way of players like Randall. They were brilliant to deal with in the summer. That's their model. And I really fancy them. I like the way they play.
Now, what do they do from a youth perspective that others in League Two could follow that don't?
Play their players. Play their players. You know, a lot of clubs talk about having a youth set up and don't play their fucking players. Exeter play their players. They give them a chance. They get them out on loan. They bring them back in. They put them in. They take them out. They play their fucking players. You know, the manager understands the philosophy, a little bit like Crew. They understand the philosophy. They understand the importance of producing these players. They understand they have to sell one every year. They understand to keep it going. That's the way it goes. You know, Ollie Watkins probably helped pay for the last 2 years. If Ollie goes sold again, he'll pay for the next 2 years. You know, if Joel Randall gets sold for 20 million, there's another 3-4 million for Exeter just off their sell on with us. Which again, that's how they're such a well-run football club. They're never in danger of not paying their wages or going out of business. You know, you want to draw a perfect model. Exeter, really well-run club. Crew, really well-run club. AFC Wimbledon now at their own stadium again, really well-run club. So we talk about all the shitly run clubs and the clubs in trouble and the clubs gone into administration. We don't highlight enough the clubs that are run really fucking well.
Yeah, and the fact that they now have some consistency with that model, so the production line is churning, which, you know, Absolutely. I guess is what you got to, the situation where if you need to cash in some assets, you know, you have the production line to do so. It's not just a wonder Absolutely. Kid who comes along once every 10 years.
Absolutely. We could sell next summer one teenage starlet who's been playing in the champ, and it would set us up for the next 2-3 years, regardless of what league we're in. It wouldn't need owners' financial input. And that's where you want to get to. And, you know, yes, our model is about producing players, and outside of that, we've got other players who are worth a lot of money. Do you know what I mean? But just youth graduates, we could sell one teenager next summer, and we're good to go for the next 2 seasons, whether we're in the champ or anywhere else. So that's where you want to be as a football club, where you don't need the owners to have to remortgage their house, raid their piggy bank, you know, get irritated with putting money in. Actually, let's sell that teenager. Good to go. We can run the club, and we can bring in players that we can still compete. That's it.
Easy
if it's done right.
So I know we've talked about a lot of things. We've got a ton of questions as well. There's a lot going on this week. Couple of other topics that raised some eyebrows at Hard Truth Towers, at least at this side of Hard Truth Towers this week. One was Premier League clubs banning sponsorship from related parties. It seems just like another excuse for the 19 to try and protect themselves against Newcastle.
Pathetic. Threw their toys out of the pram. You know, trying to play games, you know, I challenge that. If I were Newcastle, I'd be in the High Court tomorrow challenging that. Because, you know, okay, it was fine yesterday, but it's not fine today. I'm sorry. Like, where's that come from at the end of the day? I get what they're trying to do, but at the same time, come on. I mean, behave. I'm not against all the money going into the Premier League from Newcastle. I understand the controversy behind it, but I've said it before. There's worse people being involved in football, and there'll probably be more worse people involved in football, because that's just the nature of the game, and not knowing who is involved. But, you know, they're going to create a market that will flow, and the money will hopefully flow downwards, and we need that in the football league. So, you know, to be stopping that and trying to, you know, get behind it, and, you know, if Newcastle could spend 300-400 million the next 4 windows, they're not winning the league. No. It's going to take 4 years.
They're mid-table at this point with that money.
Man City came along, and United were on the decline. Liverpool weren't on the up yet. Chelsea were always bouncing backwards and forwards, win a league, finish below, fire a manager, win a league. And Man City, I think it was 3 years, 4 years it took with Mark Hughes at first. And, you know, eventually Mancini came in, and it took some spending. United have spent, I don't know, £1 billion over the last 6 years, and they can't get near a league title. So all this fear about Newcastle going out and spending as much as they want, I've said this before, it's not going to happen overnight. And, you know, so, yeah, really silly decision for me. That has to be challenged.
It's not 1992 and Jack Walker coming and buying a league title.
Correct. Absolutely correct. And God love him and God rest his soul.
Yeah. So over in Germany, we had Bayer Leverkusen and their owner saying that the Bundesliga is at risk of becoming a development league to the Premier League with Premier League spending. And, you know, you're seeing other leagues right now. I think Serie A had their period in the 90s, and, you know, there's not really been much going on there for the last few years. Obviously, the big clubs in La Liga are now struggling financially. Yeah. Is this just pushing everyone to a European league?
COVID's been a real equalizer. You know, COVID's pretty much destroyed Real Madrid and Barcelona. You know, that 18 months, 2 years is got at them. They were already financially in trouble. And now
it's like a final nail, wasn't it?
right, and he's absolutely right. Germany is a development league, and it is where, the best players who are there will come to England. They will. They just will. Chelsea have shown that. They went and got two of the best players in the Bundesliga like that. And that will continue. Liverpool will do it. Man City will do it. Newcastle, I dare say, I'll be buying 2 or 3. They've got some great, they've been nicking all the English talent. They're going to be brought back. So Spain, I'm not sure the standard's great there anymore. Truth be known. Italy hasn't been good for a few years. Guardiola said it the other day. The Premier League's where it's at. The best coaches in the world, the best tactics in the world. You go up against the Brighton. You're going up against the manager who people in Italy have never heard of, in Graham Potter, who's a brilliant manager tactically, and you've got to work really hard to win that game if you're Man City. It might have looked easy on paper, not necessarily going into it. So it's where it's at. We are right now, Championship, Premier League, some of the best leagues in the world of football. And those leagues and whatever else and players look on with envy. And that, for me, long may that continue.
Do you think that's going to force European leagues?
Maybe, but I'm not ready to say yes yet. Yeah. And I think at the moment we're the best show in town, the United Kingdom. So we don't need to be in a hurry for the Super League.
Now, at the other end of the spectrum, we have Bolton's captain, Anthony Sasovic, leaving to join Stockport, which was a little bit of a raiser of eyebrows as well. Really interesting to see him going down into the National League.
No, not a surprise.
No.
He's been promoted a couple of times to League One, and he's been sold each time. I think Fleetwood did the same. He's obviously, managers deem him not good enough to play at that level. But fair play to him. He's had a good career in the Football League. He's won multiple promotions from League Two. And now I think he's getting paid by Stockport. Is he right? Stockport.
Yeah, 3 years at Stockport.
Right, very wealthy owner at Stockport, like Wrexham. And that's a great career move for him. And there's no shame in that. Stockport are a massive club. And I dare say he'll go up with them and he'll win promotion again. It'll probably happen again. So sometimes players find their level. And I know I don't want him listening to this saying I think he's a crap player. I think he's a brilliant lower league footballer. And it just hasn't happened for him in League One. So I think the Bolton managers made the right call.
Now, do you think it's Stockport because of the inability of League Two clubs to sign because we're outside the transfer window, or because it's money? There's more money in parts of the National League than there is League Two right now.
I don't think a lot of clubs in League Two give him a 3-year contract. I think Stockport's the right move because he's the right type of player to get them promotions. We did similar years gone by. We went and signed Keats and Westwood in 3-year deals when they were 29 and 30. And we took them from Walsall, who were seen as a bigger club than us, but they couldn't offer them 3-year deals. We did because we knew their experience for the next 2 years, forget 3, was going to be invaluable. I always knew by year 3 I'd move them on, but I gave them 2-year deals to get them in. So, it's the right move by Stockport and Wrexham to sign the odd player like that that's going to bring massive experience into the dressing
room. You have your backwards and forwards with the Peterborough Telegraph, and we see, some of the tweets that have gone backwards and forwards the last week or so, just as they were calling into question your championship chops. But, you go across to Hull, who we talked about earlier, who have banned one of the BBC reporters, saying that the players don't want to answer his questions. And I just wonder if, you have an opinion on the clubs that seem to be trying to control the message when they do ban outlets from the stadium.
I've always had a great relationship with the media, and Alan Swan has been doing his job longer than I've been born, and he's very good at his job. And I might not agree with his articles. I got pissed off a few years ago when him and Steve Evans leaked Lee Tomlin was training with us. We got a promise off Warnock. Don't let that out. I'll get him for free in January, because they both fucking talked about it in the press, and it was in the, it cost me $100,000 that it wouldn't have cost me. Because the Cardiff owners then realised what was going on and did it. So, Warnock was trying to do us a favour, and then we ended up having to pay $5,000 a week for him. So, but Alan's really good, and I didn't agree with his article, but he's entitled to write his article, and I would never stop him coming to the training ground. Equally, my manager wouldn't stop talking to him. No way. And you have to be very careful. The press, particularly the local press, are an institution. They're part of the fabric. And a lot of the local press are actual fans. Yes, they might write about a football club, but they're fans. The press will piss me off. I'll call them out for it. But it doesn't mean I'm going to put them on my grudge list. And I'm certainly not going to ban them or blacklist them. I think that was a very, very ill-advised move. I'm not sure that was Grant McCann who did that. I know it's been said it was him. I'm not sure it is him, because with the training you would have had from me and my football club, that, no, don't go down that route. Don't alienate everybody. And if the press are giving you a hard time, bring them in sitting down and ask them for a period just to give you a chance. And if after the next 8 weeks it's still the same, understand, but give me a chance.
It feels like all the clubs where that happens, you're past this point of no return. There's nothing good that happens after you do that, whether it's as an owner or as a manager.
Can't do it. Can't do it. It's bad. I would never do it. I don't think I have ever done it. It was the BBC. One of their stations did a hit piece on me on TV years ago when I sold real estate. And it was despicable, but they never asked to speak to me and whatever else. And I didn't go out of my way to ignore them. I still gave BBC Cambridgeshire time. I still did whatever else. The Sunday Times went after me years ago. Their sports editor is a friend of mine, who's now the editor of The Athletic. You ask for equal respect. Give me a fair chance. I'll give you a fair chance. If you've got a vendetta against me, well, okay, I'm going to fight that. I won't ban you, but I'll talk about what the vendetta is. Do you know what I mean? So Alan Swan, even the day after all those tweets and about his article, we were messaging the next day because he asked me for a few words on Darren's 500 win or whatever it was. So no problem whatsoever. He's very good at his job, and him and his son, they're fans. So we're not always going to agree. Equally, I would never, ever, ever write to Alan Swan and tell him to write a certain headline or tell him not to write something. Can't do that with journalists.
As a supporter, you want that a little bit of tension between your club and the press, because you don't want to feel like the press are just going to be the mouthpiece of the club and just write everything that the club's asked them to write.
I want them to be fair. That's all I ask for, is a fair shake, a fair representation. Call me out when I make mistakes. I hate being kicked when we're down. That to me sometimes is people are waiting. And I'm not saying Swanee did that, by the way. Some people might do that. Fans can do that with you. I hate that, like someone comes after you when you're down. And that's for me when I'm at my strongest, because I savor that and I save it up and I'll wait till I'm back up again, because I'm never down for long. But I think banning journalists and making those moves is very, very dangerous, and it backfires more times than not. But saying that, Phil, before we go on to questions, I heard Grant McCann's children were getting attacked on Twitter and social media, and I ain't having that. And I would come out and defend him, forever. One of his kids is in our academy, and his wife comes, watches every game and everything else. I hate to hear that. They're a lovely family. He doesn't deserve that. He was dealt very extreme circumstances going to Hull when they went down, losing his best players. They won the league last year. They had an embargo in the summer. I think some people need to get their head out of their arses and go, he's not actually the problem at that football club. And to attack his children, you're a special kind of vermin when you go after someone's children. Someone went after my children on social media. The things I do, you wouldn't even imagine. And someone would have to be very fucking brave to do that.
It's despicable. It's really despicable, isn't it? I mean, horrible. I can't even imagine.
So I know if Grant listens to the podcast or Kelly, but I'll send my love and my best to them. I didn't want to reach out because we'd just beaten them, and then it all blew up, and it would have looked like, I'm reaching out because we just won. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to wait till days had gone by, and I will reach out to them the next couple of weeks. But that's fucking horrendous for that to happen, and that shouldn't happen, because you've got a lovely family, and your family have got nothing to do with how your football club wins, loses, or draws.
Right. Well, we've run for almost an hour and 10. We've got some questions, but I was looking through the questions. The vast majority, if not all, are not necessarily topical to this week. So I just want to ask one, because it's actually on Hull, and it talks a little bit about, it talks a little bit about actually a comment you just made there. It was from Steve on email. And Steve says, I was astonished to learn when Peterborough played Hull, that they've been up for sale 7 years. You talked a little bit about ownership and the cards that Grant has been dealt. What policies and the like would you introduce to attempt to change that status quo to attract a buyer? Like, basically, what would you do differently if you've got a stale asset that's not selling to help move it on?
What would I do differently? I would obviously, the time was in the summer when they won League One. It was time to press the reset. So you go down, you get rid of all the fat, you get rid of all the bad overheads. You suddenly make yourself a very, very attractive club on paper. I think Hull will be sold soon. I would have a bet they're probably sold in the next 7 months, because I think they're in very good shape financially. I think Alan, the older guy, not his son, has run it very, very prudently, to the point where they're never in trouble financially. They're not in any danger. Yes, they've got embargoes like everyone gets. I would, when they went up in the summer, I would have done everything in my power not to have an embargo, to have had a little bit of a go without getting carried away and give Grant a chance just to get them top 14 in the champ. A little bit like what Preston did, where Preston went down, and God bless Trevor Higgins, he passed away, and best wishes to his family. But him and Ridsdale pressed the reset button. They got Preston back up. They went down the route we did a little bit with their sales and their transfers, and they became a very, very good mid-tier championship team. So that's what Hull needs and needed. So, but I would imagine they'll be sold shortly.
Now, Wes, I don't know whether to ask you this or not, but what's your projection for Hull this year? You know, are they going to come good, or is it going to be a struggle this season?
They've got really good players. You know, they won the league last year. They ran us all the way, and we ran them all the way. And I think they pipped us by 2 points. You know, I rate Grant as a manager. I think they're going to be okay, actually. So, you know, and obviously, if there is a takeover, I hope they don't, you know, panic and pull the trigger on him. So let's see. Are there 3 worse teams than Hull in the league? I think so. So, you know, that's where I am. I think they need new ownership. The fans definitely need some happy news. And hopefully happy news comes with them getting on Grant's side and forgetting about his horrendous championship record, which are under horrible circumstances, and give him a fair shake. So, yeah, that's the wish. I hope us, Hull, Coventry, Luton, all clubs like that finish top 14.
Yeah, you know, kind of leading the charge for League One, and ensuring that it is possible to hold your own, like we talked about earlier.
Yeah, because that's what you want. Yeah. You want well-run football clubs doing really well, and everyone should want that. So, yeah, that's where we are. So, anyway, on that, let's sign off and let you get back to work. Yeah. To all the fans out there, win, lose, or draw, thank you for listening, and hopefully here's to a good few weeks.
Yeah, we'll be back next week, same time, same place. Talk to you soon, everyone.